All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're breaking down a fascinating argument from landlimited.com about a totally different way to own land, one that lets you skip the bank entirely. It's all about this thing called owner financing, and we're going to explore why they argue it's a game changer for buying raw land. So here's our roadmap for this explainer. We'll kick things off with that classic struggle, your dream of owning land versus the bank's reality. Then we'll dig into why banks are so shy about raw land to begin with. After that, we'll unpack the owner financing solution, see how you actually build your ownership stake, and finally, we'll look at what the source calls the 5-minute land deal. Okay, first step, the dream versus the bank. The source calls this the classic American catch-22, and it's a scenario that probably sounds all too familiar to a lot of people. So just imagine this. You find it, the perfect piece of land, it's got everything you've been looking for. The view, the right price, just tons of potential. You head over to the bank all excited, ready to get a small loan and make it yours, but then you get hit with that one word you were dreading, no. And it's that exact moment of frustration that really sets the stage for our entire conversation today. So what gives? Why the flat-out rejection? Well, let's get into their side of the story. It's not that they have anything against you personally. It really just comes down to their business model. See, the most important thing to remember is that a bank mortgage is a secured loan. They aren't just lending you money based on your word. They're lending it based on the thing you're buying. A house is a safe bet for them. It's standard, it's easy to value, and if things go wrong, they can sell it pretty quickly. Raw, undeveloped land? Yeah, that just doesn't fit into their nice, tidy little box. And really, it all boils down to 3 main issues for them. First, it's just tough to appraise. I mean, how do you stick a standard price tag on a unique patch of rural land? Second, there's no standardized collateral, no house for them to easily take back and resell. And third, from a pure business perspective, these small land loans often just aren't that profitable once you add up all the administrative headaches. So if the bank is a dead end, what's the alternative? This is where the source introduces a completely different approach, the owner financing solution. It's all about bypassing those traditional gatekeepers. And this quote from the source really just says it all. We don't need a bank's permission to help you. That's the whole idea in a nutshell. When you deal directly with the seller, you cut out the middleman, and all those specific risks that make banks nervous, well, they pretty much vanish. Okay, but you might be thinking, if there's no bank, how do I actually own the land? That's a great question, and it's exactly what we're going to break down now. This part is really key to understanding how a land contract actually works. The first big concept you got to grasp is equity. Think of it like this. Your rent payment every month, that money is just gone. But with this, every single monthly payment you make is building your equity. It's not disappearing, it's increasing your real, tangible ownership stake in that property over time. And here's how the legal stuff is structured, which is actually pretty smart. As the buyer, you immediately get what's called equitable title. That's just a fancy term that means you have the exclusive right to use the land, improve it, enjoy it. It's yours to control. The seller, meanwhile, holds onto the legal title, kind of like holding the pink slip to a car, just as security. The second you make that final payment, boom, the legal title gets transferred to you and that land is 100% yours. And to make this a little less abstract, the source points out that building this ownership can start with payments as low as $59 a month. $59! When you think about the mountain of cash you'd need for a down payment at a traditional bank, that figure really puts into perspective how much more accessible this path can be. All right, now for my favorite part, our final section, the 5-minute land deal. Prepare yourself, because the contrast between the old way and this new way is, well, it's pretty staggering. So first, let's just quickly remember the traditional bank route. You submit the application, and then you wait. They pull your credit and verify your income, and then you wait some more. Then comes the appraisal and underwriting, followed by, you guessed it, more waiting. It's a weeks-long ordeal filled with a ton of uncertainty. Now, compare that to this process. 1, you find your lot online. 2, you select the finance option and customize the terms right there. 3, you complete the checkout, no credit checks, no qualifying. 4, you pay the down payment with a card or even crypto. And 5, you get instant confirmation. Your land contract is a done deal. So the takeaway here is pretty clear. The source argues that this process takes what was a stressful, weeks-long nightmare of waiting for permission and transforms it into a direct, 5-minute transaction that you are in control of. The difference is just night and day. And that leaves us with one final big question to think about.
As traditional lending seems to be getting tighter, is this model of direct owner financing the real key to unlocking land ownership for a whole lot more people come 2026? It's a pretty compelling thought to end on.